we raise the price, we lose more volume than we should, or we think we should, okay? So most hospitality properties on the other test have an elastic demand pattern. That is true. We are elastic in nature most of the time. You want to, when you get there, test and see if you can figure out which one it is. Not on Wednesday, but in real life. Next one, even when formal pricing approaches are used. Formal are the ones that consider costs. Hospitality managers must always take into account modifying factors such as competition, historical prices, and price rounding when finally setting their prices. That is true. So, remember Hubbard formula, 66, 53, or whatever it was. That's not what you wind up pricing it at. You have to think about those modifying factors when you're done. So even when you use formal approaches, and I gave you 4 of them that consider costs.
Can you quickly run through it one more time? Even when formal pricing.
Yeah, just read it once. Even when you use formal approaches for your pricing, you still have to set a different way. Even when you use formal approaches, you still have to take into account the modifying factors. Yes. And those things are price rounding, historical prices, competition, things like that. True or false? In menu engineering, menu items are classified according to how much was sold last month versus how much was sold last year. Does that sound right? No, because they're classified according to what 2 things? Profitability and popularity. That was purely based on what I just read was popularity. How much was sold last month according to how much was sold last year? That's a ridiculous question. Please don't anybody get that one. Menu items are correctly classified according to profitability and popularity. That is true. Next one. In evaluating a property's contribution margin ratio. Contribution margin ratio. That's this thing. It's a profitability ratio, so a lower figure is better.
False.
Not that many. Profitability, bigger is
Better.
better. So a lower figure is better? False. A higher figure is better. That is
True.
true. Contribution margin ratio, bigger is better.
Better.
This one I just did, I'll read it anyway. When comparing the prime ingredient method of pricing menu items with the ingredient method has a lower multiple. Lower. That is true, yeah. The ingredient method has a lower markup because it's considering everything. Prime ingredient has a higher markup because it's only considering one item. Okay? So remember the difference between ingredient and prime ingredient. Calvin, you got that one? Yeah, he's looking at me like, what are you doing? Here's an interesting one, ready? True or false? A restaurant that is operating at a volume higher than its break-even, in fact, is losing money. There are many answers. A restaurant that's operating above or higher than its break-even is losing money. That is so false, not even funny. If you remember nothing else, I want you to remember that. You want to be to the right of break-even. We love volume because it helps cover our fixed costs and makes us more, not less profitable. So if you're operating left of the break-even or at lower volumes, then you are losing money. But if you're right of the break-even at higher volumes, you're making money. And the more to the right, the more you're making. Okay? True or false? The prices of most menu items should end in a 1 or a 0. False. Everybody should get that. Another one that's on the other test, not this one. It is a good idea to raise all of your menu items at the same time.
False.
Raise the prices of all your menu items at the same time. Never a good idea. Last one on the true false. When the calculated PE of D is greater than 1, demand for a hotel's rooms is said to be inelastic. When it's greater than 1, it is what? Elastic. Very good. Okay, so multiple choice. That should help you. You should be able to whip right through these, especially if you're here today. We did this one, I'll do it again. When the desired food cost percentage is blank, let's just say 33%. When the desired food cost percentage is 33%, I erased it. What's your desired markup? 3. When the food cost percentage, 33% gives you the markup of 3. What if it said 25%? Markup would be, what if it said 20%? The markup would be 5. Do you follow? 1 divided by the food cost percentage gives you the markup. Menu engineering classified items that are high in menu mix and high in contribution margin as, high and high is, better look at that one, I won't tell you the answer. A, B, C, or D. Well, you got puzzles, plow horses, stars, and dogs, you figure it out. High, okay. Listen carefully. Here we go again, ingredient, prime ingredient. The ingredient costs associated with a chicken dinner are $2.25. Chicken dinner, I love chicken dinners. No, I love meatballs. The cost of the prime ingredient is $1.30. Which means the remaining ingredients cost 95 cents. Okay? Alright, now it depends on what I'm asking you. One test is one thing, one's the other. This one says, if you're using the prime ingredient approach to price your menu items, then you're only concerned about the $1.30, right, which is the prime ingredient I read, remember? Cost of the prime ingredient is $1.30. If it's the other test, you're using all the ingredients, and therefore you're using the $2.25 with a different multiple. So if you use the prime ingredient approach and the multiple is 7 times, 7 times $1.30 is, sometimes 3 is 21, carry your 2, $9.10. That's not what it is on here, but, okay, you know the idea.
So all you're
So-
doing is you're taking what it is and depending on what type of.
Read it and interpret it. If it's prime ingredient, you're just using the $1.30. If it's the ingredient method, you've got to use the full cost I give you, $2.25 or whatever that is.
What was
Okay?
the remaining thing you said?
The remaining stuff you ignore.
Okay.
You either use the $2.25 or there's a little bit of spurious
For
information.
that one, you're gonna tell us how much the markup is?
Yes, I have to, yeah. And I didn't tell you what the markup actually is on the test you get, but it's something. Okay? Okay, so if your resort costs $72 million to build and has 800 rooms, can you guess this one? You don't need to guess it. 72 million to build, 72 with 6 zeros, and it has 800 rooms. 8 goes into 72, 90,000 per room. Everybody see that? You have to figure out the cost per room to build. Remember I said Wynn Resort when it opened was $1 million a room. If that's true, then he should have been charging $1,000 a night. No way. This is a very rough test. In this case, what would your ADR be? Everybody see? You just drop the 3 zeros and $90. Is that a good method? Probably not, but it is a method. That's called the dollar per thousand method. Okay, that isn't the numbers actually, and the other test will have something else, but take and just divide, get a cost per room, and then drop 3 zeros and pick the right answer. Hopefully you'll be able to do that just like this, okay? Use a calculator, don't get it wrong. The break-even point in CVP analysis is defined as the point at which what equals 0? Profit or? Profit, also known as, look at the bottom over there, NI, net income. So if I say either profit or net income, take either
So
one of those.
break-even point is CVP
The
is
break-even
profit.
point, when you're breaking even, you're not making money, but you're not losing money, your profit is exactly equal to 0. Remember that? Contribution margin, I said this is beyond there. Contribution margin is defined as the amount that's available to cover what 2 things? What 2 things? Fixed costs and net income or profit after you take variable costs away from revenues. Right? Contribution margin, which is a tweener, you can think of it in 2 ways. It's what's left over after you take variable costs away from revenues,
To cover fixed costs and what else?
fixed costs and your profit. Very important thing. It's good to make money. Right? So it's either this, looking down, the 64,000 is available to cover the 44 and the 20, or it's what's left over after you take 16 away from 80. That's contribution margin, right? Which is simply just taking variable costs away from revenue. Informal pricing approaches in hospitality fail to take into account what? Informal, fail to take into account costs. Okay, and then there's one other, that'll be a gift. You can figure it out. Okay, so problem one, break even. There it is in 5 parts, A through E rather. There's problem 2 with your fill in the blank. Problem 3, price elasticity of demand. And then problem 4, like we're gonna do now, for those of you who wanna stay,
For this?
that's this one where you've got the blanks, and you have to give me all of them. That's part 1 for 10 points, okay? If you wanna take off, great. If you wanna come to the review session tomorrow, a few of you who really need it, great. If not, I'll see you Wednesday. Don't forget your Scantron, calculator. Thank you for your participation, Ms. Sue, and whoever else participated, I'll remember. Okay? See you on Wednesday. Same